Hi there, Year 12. Another week passes by, and during this week we had World Mental Health Day. And last year, you remember I showed you a video from Heads Up, which is the Premier League, and Prince William. So I thought I would share with you a video that involves Andy Robertson and Jurgen Klopp of Liverpool. Please take from it what you can, and remember that your tutors and myself, even the school counsellor, are there if anyone needs us. Thank you.
How was lockdown?
Uncertain, I think, for all of us. You know, we have parents that are older, we have family that are in the so-called, bracket of high risk, and I think football kind of took a step to one side, but we were all wanting the season to end.
There were moments when we, obviously in the lockdown, when we thought it's a proper setback from all our dreams. It's like, wow, we are so close. Such a sensational season, and now it looks like it could get away. So it was a setback, but it was a setback for all of us together, and we could calm each other down. No, we'll be fine. So I sent a message, and it will not happen, even when I thought, wow, it could happen. But we all had obviously setbacks in our own life, and as a footballer, it starts pretty early sometimes. And probably meanwhile everybody knows that your career was not.
Yeah, I now look back on it with happy memories because it made me. But the day you get told it's like your world ends. Do you know what I mean? A 15-year-old boy playing with.
Did they give you a reason?
My guy came in from Motherwell and just had a kind of different approach. He wanted kind of bigger lads and stronger, and Celtic teams then became a lot stronger and more physical and stuff like that. And I didn't quite fit into that. I probably don't fit into it now, never mind when I was 15. So
they would still send you away.
Yeah, they would still send me away if I showed up, I think. But probably as a normal 15-year-old lad like that, probably a couple of tears. But Mum and Dad got me my favourite curry that night, and back to the house during the week. That never happened. And then my auntie came up to the house and she said to Mum and Dad, "I'm telling you, he'll make it as a footballer." And that's something that's always stayed with me. When I was at Dundee United on Christmas Day, sadly she passed away, so she was one that always believed that I was something special when probably nobody believed it when I was younger. But that's something that does bug me a little bit, that she's not seen me lifting the Champions League, lifting the Premier League and things like that.
There's a little similarity that it's my dad never saw me as a manager. So he died 4 months before I became a manager. But the actual thing is, my father was a natural coach as well. So if you would have asked him, he would have said, "Yeah, you have to become a coach." We never spoke about that. He just pushed me through my career pretty much, really harsh criticism and stuff like this. But now my real career he never saw.
Yeah.
So that's hard, to be honest, from time to time. Especially what makes it really strange, I'm now 53, and if I sit in a specific angle, look like this in a mirror, and I'm scared to death because I look exactly like my father. I never looked like my father. My whole life I looked like my mother. And all of a sudden you look, it's my dad. Yeah, so it's really crazy. But the support never stops.
How do you feel, boss, about talking about mental health?
We are all concerned about is physical health and mental health. We are just more used to get help for physical health. Obviously, when we have pain or are bleeding, then it's obvious, and we don't have to explain anybody, and everybody knows when you're bleeding you need help. So that's easy.
When I started, making it professional and things like that, I think that's when I struggled the most, when I was maybe down in Hull and Moan and everyone thought, okay, he's a Premier League footballer, he's playing, for Hull, he's getting a good wage, and so then people would maybe stop asking, "How are you?" They would start asking, "Can we get tickets? Can we get?" So, I think only since I would say since the last year or two, since we've had kids and things like that, then I've started to open up more, even on small things. I used to be one that, like I said, blocked everything up and dealt with. I thought, well, my problems are my problems, and then I took everyone else's problems on board. So, but now I feel so much better. I remember speaking to Rach like a year ago, something daft, but something that was obviously playing on my mind, and after maybe a 10-minute conversation with her, I felt like everything was off, and I was like, oh yeah, I should maybe do this a bit more often. So I think mentally it's been a lot easier because I've opened up a lot better, and that's something I wish I'd done probably earlier.
But the general group we created at Melwood, that we really have now a high level of expectations, but we all feel it's not about me alone to fulfill them. It's really we do it together. So if I'm not perfect today, the other one, so that helps. If you don't feel all the burden of everything on your own shoulders, if you really know, okay, I get help in this case from my mates. So if you have a group of friends or group of colleagues and you can have creative an atmosphere like this, that helps already. I think the main issue is really to feel in different situations in life just alone.
Yeah.
Because alone is alone. I think there's no problem big enough that you, or small enough that you cannot talk about. Life is a challenge for all of us constantly. Means starts with getting up in the morning. So for some it's easier, for others it's not that easy. So that's the first little fight you have to win on some days. But then it starts, all the problems start. So my advice would be talk. And don't be embarrassed about your own situation, because you will be surprised how many people have the same problem.